Good day, and welcome to this another episode of What's Happening Today, presented to you by Rapido News Network. So let's get started. The CEOs of the nation's largest airline are asking the Biden administration to drop the federal mask mandates on airplanes, along with pre-departure testing requirement for international travelers. Although COVID-19 cases in the US have fallen sharply in the last 2 months and restrictions are being lifted across the country, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention earlier this month extended its mass transit mask mandate by 30 days, which is until mid-April, and masking guidelines for airline remains in place. While the airlines and their employees supported the federal mask mandates when it was first implemented, especially because it did away with the possibility for airline by airline rules in the early days of pandemic, they now feel it is no longer necessary. Now, Americans are hurting their pockets as fuel prices continue to surge. Los Angeles on Tuesday became the first major city in the United States to reach an average gas price of $6 or more per gallon. That's according to the fuel-saving platform GasBuddy, which reported that the national average gas price in the US began to decline since its peak of $4.35 per gallon on March 10th. Now, as the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is about to enter its second month, US President Joe Biden headed to Europe on Wednesday for an emergency NATO summit on Ukraine. President Biden and leaders of NATO allies agreed to double the organization's troop presence in the Eastern Europe, an effort to keep the alliance united in its effort to isolate and punish Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Speaking in the aftermath of emergency NATO and G7 summits in Brussels, the US president said that any retaliation would be proportional, though he would not confirm that he would insist on military actions.
About the real threat of chemical weapons being used, have you gathered specific intelligence that suggests that President Putin is deploying these weapons, moving them to position, or considering their use? And would the US or NATO respond with military action if he did use chemical weapons?
You know, on the first question, I can't answer that. I'm not going to give you intelligence data, number one. Number two, we would respond. We would respond if he uses it. The nature of the response would depend on the nature of the use.
President Biden and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that the United States will increase sale of liquefied natural gas to European Union by 15 billion cubic meters this year, an increase that will substantially limit the EU's reliance on Russian supplies of the energy sources. After meeting with the NATO allies and announcing a deal to help secure more natural gas for the European Union to reduce its dependency on Russian fossil fuels, President Biden is traveling to Polish border with Ukraine on Friday to highlight the growing humanitarian catastrophe caused by the war. In Russia, Russian President Vladmir Putin demanded on Wednesday that unfriendly countries like the United States, Britain, and the European Union member pay for the Russian natural gas in Russian rubles instead of US dollars or euros. Mr. Putin's demand would blunt the effectiveness of sanctions over the invasion of Ukraine that are directed at undermining the value of Russia's currency. Requiring buyers to pay in rubles would mean an increase in the demand for the currency, which in turn would help prop up its value. A senior analyst at the consulting firm Rystad Energy wrote in a market note on Thursday that Putin had raised the issue that go beyond the energy sector. With this, he attempts to challenge the dominance of the euro and US dollars. From Monday, Finland National Rail Service will stop operating the Allergo train between Helsinki and St. Petersburg, cutting off Russia from the last direct train service to Europe. The Finnish rail service said in a statement that in the previous 4 weeks, people who wanted to leave Russia had enough time to do so, and that it was now suspending the train in line with the international sanctions. The Australian government said on Friday that it had placed sanctions on Belarus's President Alexander Lukashenko and members of his family. Belarusian entities are already under a host of sanctions from the United States and European nation countries for its involvement in the war. That was all for the major news update for the morning of March 25th. Stay tuned for our next update on the ongoing world affairs. We hope that you find this video helpful. If you like this video, hit like. And for a continued update on what's happening around the world, consider subscribing. And if you would never like to miss an update whenever we post something new, hit that bell icon. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please leave that in the comment sections below. Thank you.